Support comes from ServiceNow. We're for people doing the creative work they actually want to do. That's why this ad was written and read by a real person and not AI. You know what people don't want to do? Boring, busy work. Now with AI agents built into the ServiceNow platform, you can automate millions of repetitive tasks in every corner of your business, IT, HR, and more, so your people can focus on the work that they want to do. That's putting AI agents to work for people. It's your turn. Visit servicenow.com.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to King of the Hill podcast. I'm Mike.
And I am Rusty.
We took a week off because it is our God-given right to take off and hide eggs in any place we want to and shoot them with our guns.
Oh, we don't usually take a week off. So
We really don't. There was no way I was going to be available on Easter. And plus you got a bunch of kids. And so, we decided to take a week off, and we certainly hope that you guys are still here, still involved. And thank you for being who you are. Blah, blah, blah. You are the first one here. You get that award. Thank you very much. As you guys know, we record these on a Sunday,
on Sunday.
And I'm going to give you a heads up. Next Sunday is my birthday, so I will not be here. Now, I will talk to Mason about you guys maybe doing a little short thing or something.
Yeah, we could do
fill
something.
in. But we'll be back on that Friday. And then after that, we should get rolling again, just like normal. But anyway, that brings us to today, which is season 7, episode 17, or in the year of our Lord 7, ABE 13, The Good Book.
The Good Book.
Obviously, a play on words for the Bible, The Good Book.
The Good Book, yeah. This is actually the 143rd episode of King of the Hill.
All right.
And it was written by Alex Gregory and Peter Hyuk and directed by Alan Jacobson.
Alan Jacobson and Clay Hall. And you said Alex Gregory? Who'd you say were writers?
Alex Gregory and Peter Hyuk.
How do you spell Peter? Hyuk.
Hyuk would be Huyck.
I feel like he's done one before, right?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
I think they're a writing duo.
Okay.
I think most of the episodes that they've written together.
This was originally aired. It was March 30th, 2003. Artie, how are you? Hello. Good morning. Peace be with you. This says Hank and Peggy become concerned when the leering Buck Strickland ends up in Luanne's Bible study class. Bobby skips gym to have tea and scones at the posh Hotel Arlen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this part because that B storyline with Bobby could have just thrown that right in the trash because it ended up doing nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, there is nothing that came out of that thing. I mean, it's funny to see Bobby go through these little things, but it felt like there was no conclusion to it other than get over there, and he was done. That was about it.
That was it,
so,
yeah.
But the episode in and of itself is a good one. So we start at Strickland. Hank is over there. He's getting ready for the day's sales. He's straightening a picture of him and Buck on the wall because God knows that's his that's his feedback. You see Hank starts walking through there, talking to the people that work there. He sees Joe Jack. Oh, how's it going, Joe Jack? I lost my bathroom key again, honey. He says, oh, Mr. Strickland, because he comes in. You hear the Yellow Rose of Texas horn on his giant Cadillac car. What is it? How does that go? No, that's not it. All I can hear is our theme now. Yeah. Anyway, Yellow Rose of Texas plays on his horn on his Cadillac car. And Hank's like, oh, Mr. Strickland. He comes in through the door and he looks rough. Like he looks He looks like he just got hit by that car.
Yeah, he looks real rough.
He goes, yeah, Hank, I lost a pile of money and a pair of Italian loafers on that sleaze bag Lane Pratley. Oh, and can you cancel the morning run to Strickland North? I lost that too. I got to take my mind off my boo-hoos. Donna, find me that website where that elephant does his business on a man's head.
All right. You could actually, I don't know about websites with elephants pooping on people, but there's actually a website where you could
Sounds perfect for today.
send elephant poop to somebody's house.
Really?
Yeah.
Actual elephant poop.
Like you could send, like, if it's,
I agree,
you know,
it's all filler.
somebody that you're disgruntled with or something like that. Maybe say
Yeah.
your neighbor did something to piss you off or something, and you want to be, and they'll send it anonymously, and they'll send a box full of animal shit.
Oh, they send it anonymously?
Yeah.
Seems like a threat at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
It does almost. Imagine stepping out and you've got a box full of shit.
Exactly.
It's not even a burning box full of shit.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is there like something where they can upsell you, where somebody will follow it over there and set it on fire whenever they set it down?
That's what I'm saying.
And how long does elephant poop burn? I would imagine it was.
It's probably a biofuel.
Yeah. I've got a buddy that he used to have a little business on the side.
I thought you were going to say you had a buddy that had an elephant.
No, he had a little business on the side called I Give a Crap. It was igiveacrap.com. I don't think it's there anymore, but basically you could go on there and order a box of fake dog poo, and it would include a little note like, I give a crap because you're the best person in the world, or whatever.
That's a crazy idea.
And then you would send it to them, you know, and they would open it up and they'd get the fake little dog poo with a little note, which I always thought it was a good idea.
That's interesting.
This same guy, though, he's working on a thing now where he takes these little, like almost like old school medicine bottles, and he cuts the heads off of action figures.
Okay.
He puts them in the bottle and then fills it up with resin and then sells the bottle with the head in it. So think about this. You could have like two bottles, you know, maybe one of them's green and one of them's not. One of them's got Scully's head in it and the other one's got Mulder's head in it. So you got the X-File.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just told him, I said, it's not a bad idea at all. I mean, you get these old, I said, the only thing is you got to be ready. These people on the internet will start yelling at you because you're tearing up these action figures.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
because I used to piss off comic book collectors because for a little while I was selling advertisements for old video games.
Yeah.
So
out of the books.
And I wouldn't. The thing is I would just buy like boxes and boxes of comics.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even look through to see what I had to see if I had anything that was worth anything. I would just immediately rip the ads out of them.
Yeah. And then people would get pissed off because you're ripping up comic books.
Because I'm destroying comic books, but and not only destroying comic books without knowing what I'm destroying. I was just ripping ads out.
Like I said, we used to rip up Pokemon cards in front of the camera, and people would get very angry about that.
Yikes!
Even though they're shitty ones. I mean, they weren't good ones.
Yikes!
All right, so now we're in Buck's office. Hank comes in there. Buck has his head down on the desk because he is feeling like hot garbage. Sir, I don't like to ask personal questions, but are you okay? I mean, what a personal question to ask, huh? I mean, that's really digging into somebody.
Personal,
my wife threw me out. I goes, what? He goes, yeah. I had Donna over at the house, and the old crow found us in flagrante on the credenzi. He doesn't say credenza. He says credenzi.
The credenzi.
On the credenzi. It's all over. She said, you can handle drinking bitches and my gambling, even turn a blind eye to extramarital escapades, but not when they happen all at once and on her birthday. I don't know what to do anymore, Hank.
Maybe
he starts crying.
I mean, cheat on your
that's
wife.
What I'm saying.
One, yeah.
That's really the only thing. He starts crying, and Hank like has to turn away, and goes, "Oh, there, sir." I mean, that's his entire. That's how he tries to make Buck feel better. All right, so now we're over at Tom Landing Middle School. They are getting ready to do cross country. So, you know, I did not remember. I thought it was weird that they were out on the street when they were talking about cross country, but then I remember, I remember all these kids that would run down the sidewalk and all this stuff all around. That's all cross country.
There's not a whole lot of, I mean, if you're in town, there's not a whole lot of country to cross.
Not a lot. Not a lot of country to cross.
So whenever they would practice at my high school, they would, there was like a path that they would run, but it was kind of like the perimeter of the school, but they would run on the street, kind of like around the school kind of thing.
So the coach, I don't know that they ever give us the coach's name here, but
we could look.
But he sounds like every other coach. He's got the exact same voice as all the other coaches.
Here.
He says, today we start cross country. Every day for the next 2 weeks, you kids are going to be running. For those of you a little overweight or not athletic, this will be difficult, but so will life. He goes, now go.
They have a generic name for the coach, Tom Landry, PE coach, but
Yeah,
it's
there you
voiced
go.
by Toby Huss.
See, Toby does all of those coaches. Like he did the crazy coach too. And
Klingheimer or whatever his
yeah,
name is.
yeah. And
Klingheimer.
you can hear his voice in this. You can hear the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah. That dude's a nutcase, though.
So they take off running. Of course, Bobby runs past last. He's just like dragging his feet. He goes, Coach, if you don't mind, I prefer to play to my strengths. Why don't I just hang back and hold the clipboard? He goes, move it, Hill. And so he takes off running. All of them are running around town. And Bobby kind of jogs up next to this girl and says, hey, Maggie, if we stay together, neither one of us will be last. Maggie says, I let you hide behind me in dodgeball. I'm through with you. And she runs off.
Hide behind you in dodgeball. That's funny.
He goes, he's running and he looks over and he sees in the Hotel Arlen, you can see in the windows, right? People eating and things like that. He sees people with little canapes and small cakes. And basically they're having high tea.
Yeah, they're having a high tea, which is a really neat experience, to be honest with you. I've had it a few times in the old country.
In the old country,
where they have places that are specifically just do little tea, but it's cool because they'll bring out like one of them 3-tiered things.
Yeah,
but it'll be like
it's like that little 3-tier,
a watercress sandwich or like a cucumber sandwich.
Now,
so they'll bring like little finger foods out.
Let's just real quick. I'd like to visit the concept of a watercress sandwich.
Okay.
So tell me what's on a watercress sandwich. Is it just lettuce and bread?
Well, when I was a kid, my mom would make it would be like watercress and cucumber, or it would be watercress and butter.
Yes, Coach Sowers, Artie. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's a big sandwich condiment is butter in England. Like not even on toast, just butter just on bread.
Regular bread.
And sometimes just butter and a piece of bread.
So flavorful.
Well, you got to think, though, the butter that we eat here, the country crock, that's what you find in most homes, the country crock butter.
Yeah.
That's like 80.
It's just oil.
9% not butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now my wife and I, we buy regular butter sticks, but like real unsalted
butter.
Yeah,
like butter. Yeah,
butter.
That's what my mom gets and stuff for cooking. I mean, that's what when we were growing up, that was like a cooking butter. But like if you wanted to butter your bread, it was like country crock.
I was watching Landman, that one with Billy Bob Thornton.
Amazing show.
It's a pretty good show, with the exception of the wife and the daughter. They're
a little annoying.
I don't like that.
That's a little too much.
The girl, she is staying in the house that he lives in, out in the oil fields, and she goes in and she asks for like tanning lotion. He says they don't have any. She goes, okay, you got any butter? They don't have any. She ends up getting Crisco and putting it on and going
covers
out there,
herself in Crisco. It's shortening. Yeah,
that seems like a really good way to go to the hospital.
Probably so. Yeah, I imagine it would cook your skin pretty
quickly.
Rough. I finally watched Common Side Effects all the way through.
Oh, did you? Yeah,
man, that's an amazing.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. It's
really
not fall down hilarious. It's just a good show.
Yeah, it's just a good show.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got some funny bits to it, and like the whole premise is funny. And then like I really like. I think Mike Judge's character, the CEO.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty.
He's very good at that. Good. Yeah. Did you see the ad? This has nothing to do with King of the Hill, but it does have to do with reboots. Did you see the ad for the last Cheech and Chong movie?
I've seen a couple of.
Yeah, they are doing a last movie. So
the commercial that I
premieres
saw
at 4:20 p.m. on 4/20. So.
Oh, so it's already out.
I don't know if it came out this 4/20 or if they're planning for next 4/20. Yeah.
Well, I know that the commercial that I saw was, it was like them two sitting inside of a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
And they step out of it, and of course, when they step out, like
big plume of
smoke pours out, and they're like, I can't remember what Cheech was wearing, but Tommy Chong's in like crushed velvet. Like he's in like a velvet or a velour like jumpsuit kind of thing, like a joggers with like a zip up pullover kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it just said the last movie, which it's kind of like they're like I kind of compare them to like Willie Nelson, not even in the smoking thing, but
Sure.
in the fact of their longevity and
Oh,
their
yeah.
careers and
They
relevancy.
could have been doing something together all along. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would have given up
Well,
on
you got to
them.
think there's a lot of people that were around when they were starting out in comedy and stuff like that. There's quite a few people that are, I mean, not a whole lot, but there's a few people that are still alive that aren't household names from that era. So the fact that they've been able to stay relevant this whole time is crazy.
One of the ones that I always appreciated Cheech and Chong for was Paul Rubens. Paul Rubens or Pee Wee showed up in I think a couple of the Cheech and Chong movies. He was always like the weirdo or whatever,
Yeah, he had that. They had him in some of their movies.
because he
for
was
sure.
he was in, I don't know which one they were in, Groundlings or whatever, but he was running in that same community, comedy
Canadian, isn't
community
he?
at that time. No, I don't think so.
Oh.
But there is. I was a big fan of his, and I understand what happened today. It would be zero scandal, but he filmed a documentary about his life before he died, and it's about to premiere on HBO. Which
Paul
I
Rubin
am
did?
very excited about that.
Yeah,
I
well,
thought
that's
the
the
guy
thing
was
is they
super
say
funny.
he came out as gay posthumously, so
Yeah.
that might be a
Yeah.
part of.
I'm sure it's part of it.
The,
He goes in the preview of it. He goes, "Oh, and I'm going to leave out the part where we did huge amounts of drugs." He goes, "Oh, wait, I guess I just included that." So,
well, I
he's a
imagine
funny guy.
they grew up in an era where you could do drugs and not die.
Absolutely. So it was him, or it was Cheech and Chong and Letterman, I think, were the two influences that really had him rise to fame.
Paul Rubin.
Yeah.
Well, Letterman was that guy for a
Letterman
long
loved
time.
him. He loved him. I just remember the first time I saw Paul Rubens on Letterman. I'm gonna break dance, and he goes, "Okay, go ahead." He starts throwing stuff on the ground and breaking it as he's dancing.
Yeah. I like that.
Really stupid.
I like that. Like him and Andy Kaufman,
Oh,
and
Andy Kaufman.
well, they got a new guy that kind of does that same vein of comedy that a lot of people shit on. He's part of the Kill Tony atmosphere.
What's his name?
His name's Casey Rocket.
Huh.
And a lot of people shit on him because
Was he
he's.
on? I thought he was on something I watched.
I'm not sure if he's been on anything big, but
It's
I
that
know
last
I know he's
name.
a part of the Kill Tony atmosphere, and he does that kind of style of comedy
Yeah.
where you're like, is this really funny? He has this deal where he'll do his whole set and he'll be like, the Dutchman's key, and then he's done his whole set with a key in his mouth.
Wow.
He'll pull a key out.
There's a girl, Sarah something, on Saturday Night Live who is a weirdo and a half, and I think she would be hilarious kind of doing that alt comedy type stuff. She does somewhat of it on Saturday Night Live, but you can tell that they are making her kind of calm it down for the show, not be so weird.
Well, that's what Casey Rocket's like, but
Yeah.
with Kill Tony, like his whole thing is do your thing. So, but he's a part, not only is he part of the atmosphere of Kill Tony, he's
up there.
He's like one of the golden ticket
He's a manager
guys or whatever. Yeah. So I think he's hilarious. He does just weird shit like he'll like squat and then pop back up and go Maybach music or just do weird just weird shit. Or
Artie brought up Kerry Goldbutter.
Kerry Goldbutter is good.
Yeah.
Or what was one that he did? The world is a vampire. Like he'll just say like song lyrics,
just says stuff
do
like
weird
that, huh?
stuff. Like I don't know. He's
I'll look him up.
Or he'll have props where he'll pull out. He had this one bit where he said he's been having fever dreams about him dating the Mucinex bug or whatever, and he'll like pull out like a Photoshop of him and the Mucinex bug like hugging each other. Like it's funny.
All right, so now that Bobby has seen what the other side or how the other side lives, he's looking in that window, he's seeing the high tea, and he goes, "My running days are over. I'm home." Like this is where he wants to be, right?
Yeah, high tea.
So he heads inside. He goes up to the maitre d'. He's all sweaty in his gym clothes and stuff. And he goes, "Table for one near the air conditioner." He goes, "Sorry, kid, this is high tea. We require a jacket and tie and long pants and no sneakers." He goes, "Doesn't passion count for anything?" I mean,
yeah,
it's a great line from Bobby.
That's actually the same hotel that
the Hookers.
Where
when it was old Hotel
Cotton,
Arlen.
Yeah, Cotton tried to.
Yeah, it's always the one where they try to make it be fancy. I think it's where they do the Boggle tournament too,
Hotel
right?
Arlen.
Don't they do a Boggle tournament there?
I think so.
All right.
Hotel Arlen.
So we're at the Hill House. We got Peggy and Luanne sitting in the chairs in the living room, those big high back chairs. And Luanne says, my Bible study teacher is going on vacation. He won't let me be substitute teacher while he's gone. I think he's just jealous of my close relationship with Jesus. She goes, oh, Luanne, give him more credit. Maybe he genuinely thinks you won't be good at it. Nice, Peggy. Good job.
There you go. Hashtag shitty Peggy already.
Luanne says, nobody has any faith in me. I'm telling Jesus that you weren't any help. And she storms off. I mean, that is the most empty threat I've ever heard in my life. I'm telling Jesus.
I'm telling Jesus.
Hank comes into the room. Peggy's still sitting down. He goes, you are not going to believe what's happened at work. Buck gambled away Strickland North. It's gone. Gone. She goes, and you're surprised by this behavior? Hank, the man is lying, cheating, drunken, gambling, philandering adulterer. He goes,
I'll have to give that's a good word for Peggy.
Philandering adulterer?
Well, philandering
adulterer. Yeah. Well, anyway, make a good shirt. Hank says, I know he has his demons, but he's also the guy who took me under his wing and brought me into the world of propane and propane accessories. And then we get a flashback. Here goes our Scooby-Doo moment, right?
Yeah, which is one of those cool things where we get to see like some more insight into Hank Hill's past.
I would be very okay with a young Hank Hill
which
series.
There's a content creator that just commented on one of our videos.
Yeah.
He goes by Squirrel Tactics on YouTube.
Haven't we had him on before?
No, he's got like 32K-ish subscribers or something. But he does all King of the Hill content. And one of the ones that he does,
he's the one that does the squirrel head.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he goes through and he actually has an episode where he goes through and takes all these little flashbacks of Hank.
Yeah.
And builds Hank's story.
Oh wow.
That's
a great idea.
Rainy Street.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
So he kind of talks through. He kind of talks through it a little bit,
but how cool would that
like
be
Hank's
to do a
life.
prequel? You know?
Yeah, no,
that would be cool.
I think that would be a cool thing in itself, and I kind of hope
just do one season, it'd be fine. You know,
I hope they explore. Since we moved to the future a little bit, I kind of hope they explore a little bit.
That would be very cool.
Of their past.
I would love to see that. All right, so we go to the flashback, and we're of course at Arlen's Gene West, home of those badass jeans. Hank's working. Buck is in there trying
home of the brass button Wranglers.
Right. Buck is in there trying on some pants. Hank comes walking up to him. Of course, Hank is very young. He goes, there's a money back guarantee on those. It's not the store's policy. It's just mine. He's going to give people money back if they don't like their jeans. Personally, he's going to give them money back.
That's crazy.
Buck says, you do a damn fine job selling dungarees there. Looks at his name tag, Hank. But let me tell you what I'm selling. Propane. Hank just goes, propane. And then we're at Strickland. Yeah. This is still in the flashback. We're at Strickland, and they're wiping tanks down. And Hank says, he was a window into an exciting world of clean burning heat. You could overhear that. You know, he's like narrating the thing. He goes, yeah, you keep these tanks shiny and clean. They reflect more sunlight and stay cooler. That means less gas escapes through these valves here. See? And so it shows kind of how he showed Hank to begin with. He pulled him out of Chess King. Yeah, I remember a Chess King. That was mostly pleather. Chess King and James West. Yeah, those were two very big shows.
Well, we had Kestner's.
Yeah, here in town.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah,
because it used to be right here.
I didn't go in Kestner's much, but yeah.
Well,
Kestner's was a big jean place here in
town. My dad is like a honky tonk country guy.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you hung out at a mall in the 80s and early 90s, you know Chess King and Jeans West because they both were.
Members only jackets. My dad had one of those.
Yeah, and then it became the Buckle, I think was the name of one of them, or something like that.
I recently looked up members only jackets on eBay, and they are. Why are they like $100,
Tell me
$200 for a jacket that was?
Tell me why 20-year-olds are wearing fanny packs. I don't know. Yeah, I got no idea.
Well, I don't think the fanny pack ever went out of style.
Oh, the fanny pack went out of style.
It did.
I personally can
not
tell
for
you
dads.
The fanny pack
it's always been utilitarian for dads.
I think there for a while.
Packs.
Well, great. That's I'm glad that people are using them. I'm just saying, I think it went out of style and then came back.
I've been using fanny packs since.
Yeah.
I just really think that sometimes as a man, there's some you need a little more things than you could carry in your pockets.
Nobody ever wears them on their fanny though.
No. No, that's the thing is
Unless
in
you're
England
British.
a fanny is a pussy. So
Well, that's what I was saying.
when people
unless you're
say
British,
fanny
yeah.
and talking about the rear end, like in England a fanny is a pussy. So that's a crazy word.
Remember that, kids. In England, fanny is a pussy. So we come back to real life, and Hank's still talking. I can't turn my back on him. Without Buck, I'd be selling pants. I mean, I'd never tell him this, but I think of him as a mentor. And here's Peggy. Really? I thought I was your mentor. What an idiot.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, you gotta think she's probably been with him since he's had this job.
Well, sure he has. Sure she has. But
she's been with him since his Gene
how
West
is she
days.
his mentor? There's just no
I
way.
just really the funniest thing about all of this to me is you would have think that Hank would have had some. I'm not saying that sales, you can't be a man and do sales, but I always would have pictured Hank doing some kind of manly
manual
ass job.
labor.
Like
kind
my
of thing.
dad, when my dad was 12, he worked on a chicken farm.
Well, I'm sure he did
You know,
all
that
the
kind of
stocking
stuff,
and
like-
all the, all
like,
of that kind of stuff.
Like my dad worked on a chicken farm when he was 12, and then like when he
Yeah.
was 13, 14, he was throwing roofs and stuff like that. So when I
Yeah.
think of like Hank Hill, I think of Hank Hill as that kind of guy, somebody who's done some kind of like manual labor job, but really just been a salesman
Pretty much
his whole life.
Yeah, been a salesman, but he did know how to do all that stuff.
Are Hank's hands? Does Hank have soft hands? Maybe then.
Artie's got a point here. He says he used to sell tractors. That does come up at one
Well,
point.
yeah, he did used to sell tractors, but he's still been a salesman. Like,
I don't
does
think
he
he's got
have
soft hands.
like?
No, he does too much work to have soft hands at this point. Too much
Oh,
mowing.
you think about like his at home
Yes,
stuff keeps his hand
yes,
just enough
yes,
callus
yes.
on it.
Well,
to
and
not be
he
soft.
played football, so he's got athleticism. He's got a little bit
You
of
ever
that
shaken
in
a
him.
modern athlete's hand? They're pretty soft.
Are they? Well, this is Hank.
I've met some because
You got
there's a lot of
splinters.
there's a lot of those, especially like with professional athletes and stuff like that. They do so much like for the job
Yeah.
that if they're not on the job or like in season,
Uh-huh.
a lot of them nowadays, since video games are so huge,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like video game stuff. Like one of the Tennessee Titans is like a RuneScape player or something. Like we were talking about
That explains a lot.
that a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
explains why the team is so good. All right, so
they'll be all right.
Oh,
Cam Ward, come on,
yeah, we'll see. Again,
a lot better than Will Levis.
It
who
doesn't
Yeah.
always shake out. So
Will
we'll see.
who? Yeah.
All right, so now we're in the alley with all four of them. Hank is talking to the guys. Oh, I'm worried, fellas. Buck's never been this bad, and this time I'm afraid he's going to take the business down with him. That's a very real fear I would have as well.
Yeah, I'd have
dealing
that
with
fear
Buck.
too. I would honestly, I would hate working for Buck in that aspect, knowing that he's a gambling man.
Yeah.
And that he not only does he just gamble his money and stuff like that, but he also gambles business assets.
He absolutely does. Yeah.
He gambled a whole
I think
segment of his company away.
I think the last one we watched, he gambled Hank away.
Yeah, he gambled Hank's services.
He gambled Hank away. He was going through his drawers, all that stuff. Anyway, Dale speaks up first. He says, "You know what a friend would do? He'd get me to burn down said other friend's failing business for the insurance money. Just say the word, or don't. I'll get the signal. Just nod your head, or don't. Shut up, Dale." So we're on. See, now this to me would have been a better B story. You have
him
Dale trying to figure out how to burn Strickland down and failing at it every time.
That would be funny.
That would have been a better B story. Hank pulls up to Strickland. He sees Buck talking to some men through the window. He goes, "Oh, Buck's back on the floor." And then he goes inside and he hears Buck talking to these guys. "You got to buy this grill. I need the money. There's a horse and make all this right. You got cash? Huh? And he starts throwing up into the grill. Customers leave. He goes, "Sir, why don't I take you home?" He goes, "Oh, good idea. No, wait a second." And starts throwing up in another grill. And he's just like, "Okay, all right." And then
he's actively sabotaged his own business at this point.
He's puking in the grills. Yeah, poor Joe Jack or whoever's got to clean it up. Probably Donna. They are driving Buck home at this point. Buck has the window down. Air's coming in his face. "I'm so god dang lonely." He goes, "Hey, before I drop you off, there's someone I'd like to introduce you to. I think you two might hit it off." This is kind of weird for Hank.
Yeah.
Right? Because they end up in some church pews under the Jesus Christ stained glass in the church. I've never seen Hank drive somebody to church like this, like drag them into church, basically.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like he's actively proselytizing here.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
Father Hank.
Yeah, no kidding. He brings him in there, and Buck, of course, the first thing we see.
Rest
Buck's,
in peace to the Pope, by the way.
It's true. The first thing we hear Buck say is, "Can we go yet?" No, not until you hear me out, sir. The flame in you has grown dim. But if you'll just take your hands off the valve and let him in, the Lord will fill you with his gas, which is just a great.
That is awful.
That's a great thing to say.
That sounds absolutely awful.
Hey, so I'll leave you two here by yourselves. You probably have a lot of catching up to do. He gets up out of the pew and he leaves Buck there by himself. Next thing we see is we're back at the Hill house, of course, in bed with Hank and Peggy, or Heggy. And Peggy says, you cannot fix Buck Strickland. He is drowning in the sea of his own addictions. If there's one thing I learned at the YWCA camp, you cannot save a drowning man.
Okay.
She's not saving anybody.
So they watch somebody drown?
Can you imagine if David says, imagine if you buy some guy's grill after Hank leaves and gets home and open it up and it's just full of puke. Yeah, that would be a lot.
I would probably return it. Call
Thanks,
the Better
David.
Business Bureau, maybe the
Yeah, no
FDA,
kidding, right?
somebody. Can you call the FDA, the ATF, somebody?
The ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and blah. So she says you can't save a drowning man. Anyway, they go back in there. Now we're back at Strickland. We hear the Yellow Rose horn
The Yellow
again
Rose of
outside.
Texas.
And Joe Jack looks at Hank and goes, I used to like that song. Now it scares me. Like, I don't really blame him. I mean, every time he comes through the door, he comes in, Buck comes in looking better. Greetings, fellow Christians. There's the shepherd that brought the lost sheep back into the fold. Talking to Hank, and Hank says, I did? Oh, so it worked. Bless you, Hank. Well, in fairness, I really didn't do anything. I just alley-ooped you to the Lord.
Alley-ooped
you to the Lord. He goes, well, you brought me to church where I met an angel who showed me the light. The woman is going to keep me on the straight and narrow path to the promised land. Praise be.
It's always a woman with him. Yeah.
Praise be. And Hank goes, nothing but net, Lord. Nothing but net, Lord.
Nothing but net, Lord.
That is so good. All right.
Oh, Hank, man.
Next thing we see is Peggy and Hank. They're walking Lady Bird down the street, which you never really see them walking her. Peggy says, I understand why God loves Buck. He has to. But what kind of pathetic doormat of a woman would fall for him? Hank says, oh, come on, Peggy. I bet she's just some nice old lady who used to be a nurse or something. You know how those churchy types are. They like a fixer-upper. He says you know how those churchy types are, but he's the one that took him to church.
He's the one that dropped him off at church, yeah.
All right. So they see, as they're walking down the street, they see Buck and Luanne with a Bible sitting on her diving board. Luanne sees them, goes, hey, Uncle Hank and Aunt Peggy, look who I saved. Buck's like, hallelujah. And then Peggy just says,
good Lord.
Good Lord. You know.
Yeah.
All right. And that is our first commercial break. We're going to take that and we will be
right back.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
At Sephora, we've got what you want. Because you're obsessed with your skin. And we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
Hey, we're back.
What the venue for the Willie Nelson concert, it said explicitly, don't bring any weed or hemp products or anything like that, because there's nobody to discern what's, if it's the legal stuff or not.
Yeah.
But they sold a bunch of the THCA joints. Willie's Reserve is what it's called. Really? So they sold a bunch of Willie's products. There? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when you go in, if you don't bring anything,
that
which
won't
a lot
happen
of people still did anyway, they actually sell the THCA stuff there. So
yeah,
that won't
happen next time. You can thank Pat Curry and your governor
if they
and all of those guys.
If they pass it, it's not passed yet. Hopefully.
So I've been doing a live show every day of the week for
a while now.
Yeah. I walked
Some
away
months.
from it the other day. Hired a guy to do it every morning.
Oh, so I got somebody
8
knocking
to
it down
10.
now.
Yeah.
That's good.
He has to be there early, so he gets there about 7:30. Sorry, he gets there at 7. Zach gets there about 7:30, and then they do the show from 8 to 10, and then he has to pack up and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
once a week, we get a call from Pat Curry, who does like the McLennan County Minute or whatever. That's the county we're in.
Yeah.
And one of the things he has mentioned multiple times is we got to get that THC outlawed. Outlawed.
That's what he says.
The other thing is, you're talking about, I think in the state of Texas alone, there's over 8,000 mom and pop shops around that you would basically put out of business immediately.
It would ruin a lot of industry. And not only that, there's a lot of places here in town that have built their business around legal hemp.
Yeah.
And,
Trump legalized it. It was the farm bill under Trump.
The problem
is insane.
is lawmakers are not scientists. They don't understand the science behind it, and they didn't understand the science behind it. And that is the reason why there is this gray area legal loophole allowing people to buy THCA. But THCA, when you light it on fire, becomes the active cannabinoid changes to the shit that's in all the other.
I want to offer a different theory.
Uh-huh.
My different theory is that the liquor industry has people whispering in their ears, and they don't want anything to compete against their thing. So
it's a combination of them
that,
and the cigarette companies.
Well, it's them, cigarette companies, and
anything with vices,
pills, any of the
pharma companies,
pharmaceutical companies.
I think that's what it is. It's the pharma companies, it's the alcohol companies, and I think it's because they can't get their piece of the pie.
Because in the same breath, they'll say, we got to get this THC outlawed, but yes, it is big beer, Artie. But hey, I think we're going to pass a thing where it's okay to sell liquor on Sundays. I think we're going to pass a thing where it's okay to put actual alcohol in grocery stores now, just like in other states. Oh, and by the way, I think we're going to go ahead and legalize vodka-based cocktails in cans to be sold anywhere.
Yeah.
So you tell me who they're looking out for.
Well, not only that, they say that legalizing weed will eat into alcohol's sales. Alcohol sales right now are they always go up every year, and weed is legal in 32 states.
But cigarette, they're taking their cue from the tobacco industry, because look at what happened to tobacco. Tobacco got severely pummeled by.
And well, you know what the tobacco did? They got severely pummeled, and then they segued into food.
Yeah.
So if you look at all the major food companies, they're owned by big tobacco.
Oh, sure they are. Yeah,
and that's honestly the reason why food sucks so bad, is because if you look in the 80s, when obesity started to shoot up in the late 80s, early 90s, and into today, you just look when the cigarette companies bought the food companies, and then you start looking at the ingredients in the food before they were bought out. So like once the cigarette companies bought the food, they were like, okay, well, how do I make food more addictive?
This is our welcome to our conspiracy theory podcast.
I'd
also like to say that all the aliens live in the ocean, not in the skies. So
not in the skies, they're in the sea.
Tobacco, says Artie. All right, so we come
the tobacco tomato.
Yeah, tobacco tomato. We come back, and they're both still on the diving board. That is Luanne and Buck. Peggy is outraged. What the hell is going on here? She goes, a private Bible study class. And Buck says, praise the Lord. She goes, Luanne, Platter family conference on the patio. Ahora. Now, I don't know what ahora means.
Now.
Does it mean now? Is that in Spanish?
It's Spanish.
Okay.
It's ahora, but
okay. She says ahora. So they walk over by the house.
It means now. Let me look real quick. Yeah, it means now. Ahora.
They walk over by the house, and they're having like a little whisper session. She goes, is he hitting on you? Is he coming on to you? Has he put his hands on you? What has he done to you? I mean, didn't even give her a chance to. Yeah, it already says it means now. She goes, nothing, Aunt Peggy. I found him at the church, and he was so sad and lost. I told him about the word of God, and he volunteered me to be his private. He volunteered me to be his private Bible tutor. Me, a Bible tutor. She goes, Luanne, you're on the naive side, but even you cannot be buying this horse manure. She goes, Buck is my student. I am his teacher, and the Lord is our principal. And until he rings the bell, class will not be dismissed. I love that speech right there.
I like that. Yeah,
that is the
I
best.
like that one. He's the principal.
We go back over to Hank and Buck talking. He goes, "Are you trying to date my niece, sir?" He goes, "Now, old top, I don't blame you for thinking the worst of me, but I'm a changed man." And then Luanne and them come back over. She goes, "Now, if you'll excuse us, we have to get back to class." They walk off. They leave Buck and Luanne alone. And Buck says, Luanne, it's awful hot out here. Maybe next week we could study in the pool. She goes, "Bible study in the pool? Like a baptism?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll bring my swimsuit." So he's got other plans. I mean, we knew he did.
Obviously, he's got other plans.
We go back over to Bobby. This is our B story. Bobby.
I like this right here. Yeah, this is funny.
He's fake running along with the cross-country kids. He stops in an alley. He unravels an entire suit from his fanny pack, puts it on. We got a comment from Rizzo Jacks.
Rizzo Jacks.
Says, "Hello from Minnesota. I'm not quite caught up on your episodes yet, but I saw you were live and decided to say hi. Thank you very much. We love you too.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Yeah. You ever want to come on and give your opinion? Let us know.
Yeah, we're the longest running King of the Hill podcast. Love it.
That's it. And today's the final. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, he unravels an entire suit out of his stupid fanny pack, puts it on, and goes inside into the Hotel Arlen for high tea.
I think it's hilarious that he stuffs a suit in a fanny pack.
It's all rolled up. He knows how to pack. He rolls it.
He can do it.
He's sitting at the table in his little suit, and he's saying to the waiter, "Are these English cucumbers in the cucumber sandwiches? The regular ones come back on me." And then you've got a couple of the old ladies sitting next there for high tea, and the waiter just says, "I don't know." He goes, "Well, would you find out for me, please?" And he sends him away. The old ladies are looking at him. She goes, "Oh, it's so nice to see such a refined young man. My grandson steals from me. Would you care to join us?"
My grandson steals
from me. He goes, "Oh, that depends. Would you care to share your lemon curd?" And they just go, mm-hmm. And so he goes over to their table. Like I say, it's not the strongest B story in the world.
Not the strongest.
It is not.
I think it's funny though. I like it.
It is funny.
Even though it's kind of like nonsensical and it doesn't really have any direction. I think it's kind of funny that Bobby's sitting there having high tea. But my favorite thing is like he's like, "Are these English cucumbers?" Because the regular they
come back on me. Yeah. Well, they make him burp.
They're literally the same thing.
We go to all four of the guys in the alley. Dale starts, "Hank, you've been very unclear on this whole thing. Do you or do you not want me to burn down your workplace?" He says, "Dang it, Dale.
That's like a C plot."
That's what I'm saying.
He keeps mentioning it. Yeah.
"Dang it, Dale. I don't want you going anywhere near Strickland. Things have been great since Buck found religion." He goes, "Again, your words say no, but your body language says towards that sucker."
Yeah.
Then we see that Peggy is right there with the guys. She's up on an extension ladder, leaning against the fence, and she's got binoculars, and she's watching Luanne and Buck over there on the pool. And she goes, "Unfreaking believable." He goes, "Peggy, will you knock it off? Why can't you just accept the man's been saved? Doesn't cost you anything." She goes, "They are in the pool, Hank. Luanne is in her bikini. Her hair is wet, sopping wet." Like that makes a difference. Whether it's wet or just sopping wet. He goes, "Well, she's supposed to be giving him a Bible lesson. I'm going to make sure it stays a Bible lesson." So he starts walking towards Luanne's pool. And you hear Luanne saying, "So that's why it's better to be a little bird sitting in heaven than to be the biggest, toughest grizzly bear in hell. Do you know what I mean?" He goes, "Yes." He goes, "Yay, fellowship hug." And then she hugs him, and of course she's in her bathing suit and all that stuff. He goes, "Woo, amen to that." She hugs him, and boy, you can see it. Joseph sticks his grubby ass
being a little weird, peeking over the window, or peeking over the fence,
little perv faced over the fence, and he goes, "Dude, what are you doing with her?" She goes, "This is a Bible study class, Joseph."
I think that's the funny thing too, is like he's intruding on somebody else's backyard, and he's watching her get hugged. He's like, "Dude, what are you doing with her?"
With her. He goes, "Oh yeah, I like the Bible. I like it a bunch." She goes, "Well, come on in." Joseph comes in. Of course, Buck first says, "I thought this was a private Bible tutorial." She goes, "Oh, there's enough God to go around." And then Joseph, yes, Artie says he loves Buck's heart surgery scar, which is on full display.
Yeah, he's got that massive open heart scar.
Big one. Joseph takes his shirt off. Of course, he's got the six-pack. He's very athletic. He's really built and stuff, and he dives into the pool. Buck kind of feels up his scar and feels bad about himself. He's got his pot belly and things. And then Hank comes around the corner and need another student. She goes, "Oh, Uncle Hank, you're joining class?" He goes, "What are you doing here?" He's talking to Joseph. And he goes, "Bibling up, dude."
Bibling up, yeah.
to a grown man, he says, "Bibling up, dude." He said, "Joseph, go home." She says, "Nuh-uh, hold on. This is my Bible study class, and all of God's creatures are welcome, even Joseph. All of God's creatures are welcome, even Joseph."
Joseph, go home.
Artie says he's a member of the Zipper Club.
The Zipper
Which
Club.
is that heart scar that Buck's got. Zipper Club member. All right, so we're back at high tea, and the old ladies are talking to Bobby still. "Oh, Bobby, you are a delight. Pearl, we should fix him up with your niece." She said. Bobby says, "How old is she?" She goes, 37. 37. Again, it means nothing. It means nothing. Yes, and Artie, you're right. Joseph looks exactly like John Redcorn. We're back at the Bible pool, and everybody has their Bibles, and they're all standing in the pool. And she says, "Okay, the thing about camels going through the eye of a needle, it's not good for the camels, so you can understand why it's not good to be rich." I think she may have missed the point of that story.
I think she missed it. Yeah.
It's bad for the camels. Joseph says, "Totally." Buck says, "I'm as good as broke. I'm losing everything in the divorce." So he thinks that that's a come on, I guess. I don't know. Principal Moss shows up.
Which is creepy as shit, too.
It is. This gets very creepy very
Wouldn't
quickly.
that have been her principal?
Yes. Principal Moss shows up and goes, "Hey, this is a Bible study in the pool class." Hank says, "Principal Moss." And then Lane Prattley comes in. These guys are all in their swimsuits. They all have their towels with them. They know exactly what they're doing. They're all grown men, and they want to look at Luanne in a pool. That's exactly all this is.
That's literally all it is.
Buck looks at him and goes, "Prattley, rooster poop."
Rooster poop.
Rooster poop. Luanne says, "Oh, you got my flyer." Prattley says, "We sure did, Teach, and that picture does not do you justice." And then Moss says, "Oh, dang, I forgot my Bible. I'll just kind of look off yours here, Miss Luanne." Gets real close to her and starts looking over her shoulder. I don't think he's looking at the Bible.
Nah, they're being
there might be two other reasons.
dirty old men.
Luanne says, "Okay, but next time you better remember. Rememberness is close to holiness."
You got to remember, this is pre-Pornhub.
Rememberousness
is
next to holiness. Buck says, whoa, hold on here." Hank moves Carl Moss out of the way, and he says, "We don't want to distract the teacher, Principal Moss. You can look on with me." And then Prattley is swimming around Luanne. He kicks him kind of out of the way. He pulls him out. So he's basically it's like Luanne's in heat, and all these cats are circling her or whatever.
Yeah,
all
it's
these
crazy.
tomcats.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
He goes, "Now, Luanne, weren't you and Buck discussing the importance of the commandments and why you shouldn't covet things and such?"
It's crazy how naive she is about it.
She is very naive. Buck says, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, Luanne." And then Octavio shows up. If Octavio showed up, everybody knows about this Bible pool thing. I mean, everybody has to. At this point, Octavio knows. He comes in, "Hey, can I get in on this?" And Buck says, "Well, who the hell are you?" He goes, "Octavio, dude." And he dives right in the pool. And Buck says, "We're trying to talk about the Bible here." He comes up out of the water. He goes, "Oh, sure, S.A., I'm way into it. Hey, look what I got, Jesus." And he points to this tattoo on his chest. It's Rob Zombie's face.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, that's beautiful." Joseph says, "Hey, that's Rob Zombie." "Shut up, kid. He got my Bible wet," because he splashes water on him. "He got my Bible wet." And then Luanne says, "Okay, Joseph, Octavio, no more fellowship hugs. Not until you show me you're here to learn the Bible. Do not get it wet." We're back at high tea. Bobby is talking to Pearl and her friend here, and he goes, "Pearl, I talked to my doctor about you yesterday, and he agrees with me. You've got to cut down on the salt." I mean, he's just part of this high tea now.
Yeah, I like how involved he always gets with stuff.
He sees the coach running around outside, and he goes, "Ooh, oops." He goes, "He's coming in." And then he hides under the table, and he tells the ladies, "Just act natural and pass me the scones." The coach comes in. he sees him and he goes, or he tells the maitre d', he goes, I thought I saw someone I know. Mind if I take a look around? The waiter says, sorry, sir, we have dress code. Ties for men, no two tops for the ladies. Coach goes, uh-huh. So we cut back. We're back at the pool. Bill's there now. So that fills out your roster.
There you go. Yeah.
If you were playing creepy old man bingo, you got it.
You got it.
Yeah. That is
pretty much every creepy dude on the show is
that's
here.
That's a diagonal bingo for you. Joseph says, so Paul named Saul until he saw Jesus on the road to Damascus and changed his ways.
Yeah, Artie said it's the founding members of the Arlen Incel Club.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's exactly
right.
what it is. Which is kind of weird, though. Like, I can understand Joseph being that way, but like Lane Prattley, car dealer.
Well, even Buck.
Oh, decent amount of money.
Buck's always hanging out with prostitutes and stuff. I mean, I guess because he's losing all his
money. I want to know,
but
see, that's the thing I don't think the show ever talks about. If it does, then I'm misspeaking here, but I don't think they ever really talk about Buck's past. Like, where did Buck grow up? How did Buck grow up? Did Buck, like, serve in World War II? Like, what about Buck's, like, background makes him be that way?
You get a few drop-ins here and there, but you don't hear a lot about Buck's past. It's mostly about his ex-wives and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, how old is Buck? Did he serve in World War II? Like Cotton, is he that old? Is he older than Cotton, younger than Cotton? That kind of thing.
I think he's only a few years older than Hank, honestly. I mean, especially when you look back at Hank working at Jeans West and that, I mean, because Buck was pretty young there too.
Yeah.
So she hears Joseph say something about Saul and Paul, and she goes, "That's right, fellowship hug." And he goes, "Oh boy!" And so they have a fellowship hug, which just means a wet Luanne hugging you. And then you hear, so when the Bible says he without sin should cast the first stone, what it's saying is, and Buck says, it's saying, I mean, they're all trying to talk over each other at this point. They're all trying to get, he does have a son that he calls Ray Ray. That's right.
I remember the son. Yeah.
And so he says, it's saying, and Prattley says, what it's saying is we should look at our own sins, try to be better people. Buck says, yes. And then you hear Octavio, but if you're sure you can't be a better person, just acting all righteous and stuff. It says here in the book of Acts, and wait, the red letters are the Jesus words, right? And then Hank says, Luanne, if Buck could just, and then Buck stands up and he says, I've got a testimony. Now, you all may have read the story of the prodigal son, but fellow Christians, I have lived it. I have strayed far and long from the path of the righteous. I have sinned, I have lied, I have fornicated on stolen antique furniture. Very specific. He says, but I will tell you, the good Lord sets the most beautiful table for the son who's eaten from the most dumpsters. And then Peggy is back there with her binoculars, and you just hear her go, huh. Like that convinced her that Buck has changed his ways.
Yeah, but not me.
So we go now to the Hill house. They are both sitting in the chairs in the living room. And Peggy says to Hank, wow, I have to admit, Buck is a changed man. Luanne must be one heck of a Bible teacher. Hank, and she's so quick to be convinced about things. I mean, she's
really
just so quick to be convinced. Hank says, yep, I guess she really got through to him. And all that time in the water's been good for his phlebitis. Now, I don't know what phlebitis is, but it's been good for it.
I don't know what that is either.
We hear the doorbell ring, and they both get up to go to the door, which is weird. There stands Buck, and he says, sorry to interrupt, but I had some very important to tell you two. I'm an old-fashioned man, and as Luanne's nearest unincarcerated kin, I wanted to be the first to know that I'm going to ask Luanne to marry me. And they're both very, very shocked. And while they're standing there shocked, we go to our second commercial announcement. And after that, we will be
right back.
There it is.
Paying rent can feel like throwing money away. And when you're spending so much, it can be hard to see yourself buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is helping you put your monthly rent towards home ownership with Rent Rewards. For the first time, save up to $5,000 off the cost of your first home just by paying rent. Only at Rocket Mortgage. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030. Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision-crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision-crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Doing the trailers.
Hey, we're back.
We're back.
We were just talking about watching movies and stuff. I took a complete day off yesterday. I didn't do anything around the house. I just watched TV.
And you just got super stoned to watch TV.
I was very tired because we had a live show.
Yeah, how did the
night
live
before.
show go?
It went real well. It was
Bloody Happy Hour.
Bloody Happy Hour, and Claire Saint Amand, who she is Santa Ma. She told me how to say her name. She does a show called Final Days on Earth / Justice Pending. So it's two different shows. One's weekly and one goes in seasons. But she used to be a producer on 48 Hours and 60 Minutes. She's just written the book. You can see it behind me.
Is she from here, or
Story.
she just moved here?
She moved here. She's from Dallas.
Okay.
But she taught over at Baylor for a little bit. She was teaching some podcasting classes and stuff over there. I was able to go over and guest lecture and things. But she has just gotten a show greenlit on Discovery.
Oh, wow.
About serial killers and a Texas Ranger who hunts them down. And it's more of a biography, true crime kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she's also moving into scripted stuff, is what she was telling me, which I think is very cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome to have somebody like that around.
No kidding, man. Yeah, I don't know
It's
that
helpful.
I wouldn't have met her without this place. So, all right. So they closed the front door. We left them in complete shock at the front door with Buck saying he's going to marry Luanne.
Which is crazy.
It is.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
insane.
Super
Why would you
crazy.
even say that?
Well, it's not even been given any sort of idea that Luanne wants this either,
Not at all.
So they close the door and Hank says, "Wow, Buck and Luanne."
Oh,
Wow.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to
No, you're
interrupt
good.
you. I looked up phlebitis.
Yeah, what's phlebitis?
So phlebitis is trauma to a vein. So it's kind of like like thrombophlebitis.
Yeah,
It's like
Thrombosis.
thrombophlebitis,
Yeah.
thrombosis.
Yeah, I get that.
So it can occur with or without a blood clot. It can affect surface or deep veins, but it's like a vein trauma. So redness, warmth, and pain in the affected area. So
I can see how a pool would help.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
can see.
All right, so he says, "Just wow."
Well, there was I got a quick story.
Yeah.
There was one time
about phlebitis.
No, I was working at M&M's. It was when I was younger. I was in my mid-20s at the time, and there was a woman in her mid-40s or late 40s at M&M's that would keep cutting eyes at me, and I guess eventually somebody had asked me, hey, whatever you enter. I was like, well, I don't even, So she came up and talked to me, like gave me her phone number and stuff like this. Well, we ended up having sex, and then I realized when I looked down and I saw her legs, and she had varicose veins in her legs. I was like, damn, man, I'm really out here having sex with an old lady. Like, what am I doing? Thrombosis makes me think of like varicose veins and stuff like that.
Well, that's a very encouraging story, I guess.
Well, I mean, it was just.
I get it, sure.
Just probably the oldest lady that I'd ever had sex with at that point in my life.
So Peggy responds to the wow factor that Hank is having, and she says, "Well, I guess it was inevitable. Women from broken homes always look for a father figure. I guess technically Buck is more of a grandfather figure, but I guess that might even be healthier." Well, there, I've made it palatable for myself. I mean, she talks herself into it, right? Hank says, and Luanne's been pretty good influence on Buck. Did you see him? He was clean cut, polite. He wasn't even sweating vodka. And when Buck's in good shape, so Strickland propane. He wasn't even sweating vodka. I, for one, can tell you how that feels. I have sweat vodka before.
Yeah, I've sweat
I do not
whiskey. I actually have a scar on my thumb. Anymore. You can't really see. You might be able to see it. That scar right there. I had bought a half gallon of whiskey, and I was up in a group chat with friends
Yeah.
on the computer,
Yeah.
and this is like 2008 or
Okay.
9 ish, and I'm just sitting there taking shots, drinking. We're all laughing on the group chat or whatever. And next thing I know, I look down and it's like 4 in the morning. And I got work in like 2 hours,
Yeah.
and I've drank a good, half to about 3/4
Sure.
of this
Sure.
half gallon of whiskey, and I still have to go to work. So I laid down for 2 hours. I was working with my dad at the time, so my dad came up and woke me up, and I got in the car with him, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "Dude, you
I
are
could smell it.
pouring whiskey
Smell it.
out, like out of your pores."
Yeah.
And he said, "Are you even like?
Yeah.
Should I even take you to work?"
Right,
And I was like,
right.
"No, I'll be okay." So I rode with them. We stopped at the convenience store. I got 2 big orange juices
Yeah.
and a massive honey bun. And I
Uh-huh.
slammed the orange juices, ate the honey bun, and I felt a little bit better, but I was still so drunk
Oh, sure.
that like
Yeah.
I was sawing on something, and I'd slipped with being drunk and cut
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
And my dad was like, Are you sure? Are you sure you're good?" And I was like, well, I could use the bathroom real quick. So I went in there and forced myself to puke so I
Sure.
would feel better. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't miss that very, very often. I don't miss that feeling.
No, I don't miss that feeling either. If you look at my hand here, this finger
A little wonky.
it
Yeah.
does not rest in the right place. And it's because I punched a wall real hard one time and it
Yeah, no, the
swole
wall
up
will
real
do it.
big.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing I found out
Just never
about
did anything
walls
about
and
it.
trees and stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't
Man,
move.
they don't move
don't move.
one
No.
bit.
Mm-mm.
They are very stoic.
No, I'll
Yeah.
give you a hint here, guys. Punch a person, not a wall.
Yeah, punch a person.
Yeah, they'll move.
Yeah.
So he says, Buck's in good shape, and so is
But only in
Strickland.
video games.
That's true.
Yeah.
He says, so is Strickland propane. Peggy says, Hank, do you realize if they marry, Buck will be our nephew? What a weird world that'd be.
Yeah.
Hank says,
I was gonna say Uncle Buck. That's a good
that's
movie.
true,
Yeah.
Uncle
But he'd be the nephew Buck.
he says, Buck will probably lose his house in divorce and move in with Luanne. He and I could drive to work every day. I mean, they're really starting to talk themselves into where this is a good world, with him being their nephew.
A 60-plus-year-old man with a 20-year-old girl.
Nope.
Yeah.
With heart problems, several divorces, no money.
Iffy.
Okay, so now we go over to Luann's kitchen where Buck is about to try to propose to her. He says, Luanne, you've changed this ornery old jackass into a noble pack mule, but this mule doesn't want to walk life's treacherous mountain path alone. Luanne Platter, will you have me as your husband? Luanne goes, oh my God, of course not. I mean, you could not respond worse to an old man who's
oh my
proposing
God,
to you.
no, of course not.
She goes,
what do you
of course
mean?
not. He goes, gibbet. I mean, I've never heard him say that, but he said gibbet. And she goes, Mr. Strickland, that is so crazy. You're very nice, but you're totally old. I like young guys who love Jesus, but have fitness and hair. That's a rough thing.
That is
rough.
rough.
And then fitness and hair.
And then this whole next line of thought is kind of crazy too.
He runs out into the driveway. He runs into Peggy and Hank, and he goes, No, you see, she spurned me. I've been spurned. Hank says, she what? He goes, she toyed with my affection. She was only doing it to get me to the Lord. How sick is that? Hank says, sir, wait. Luanne.
That'd be a good shirt with Buck all like half drunk on it. She spurned me.
And he says, Luanne, what happened? She goes, oh, Buck just wanted to marry me. I said no. He goes, well, look, he looked pretty upset. When Buck's upset, he drives straight into his addiction. She goes, oh, that's okay. He's totally addicted to Jesus now. She sometimes proves that she is not the smartest person in the world.
She's definitely not. I don't think she's too bright for sure.
So we're back at high tea with Bobby and his old ladies. Artie wants to know, she spurned me. And so we're doing a blindfold tea test now with Bobby. He's got a blindfold on and they're trying different teas out on him. He goes, Earl Grey. Come on, give me a tough one. And then you see the coach walk in. The coach has a jacket and a tie just like draped over him just so he can fit the thing.
Yeah, so he can get in the door.
Yeah.
I was going to say Earl Grey is actually my favorite tea.
I know that from your
from my email. Yeah. So as a young child, when I'd go to my grandma's house, she would me and my sister were kind of conniving and we were liars. And my sister, when she was young, she had a weight problem.
Yeah.
And what we would do is my mom would feed us a full breakfast. My mom never did not feed us. And we had my grandmother convinced that my mother was neglecting us at breakfast time because we lived on the same street as my grandma and we walked to school. So we would leave, we would eat. Like, my sister planned all this, not me. I was just a part of it because she's 6 years older than me. So she was the schemer on this one.
Sure.
So by the time I started school at like 4, she was 10. So she had this plan all set up. And we would leave early from our house and we would start walking to school. Well, on the way to school, after we got done eating breakfast at my mom's, we would go to my grandma's. And she would be like, "Oh yeah, Mama didn't feed us. We're
That's
hungry."
pretty damn devious for a kid,
so,
you know.
My grandma would cook us another whole breakfast.
Oh shit!
So I'm like, but I'm getting pinched by my sister to not say, "Don't you say anything." So my grandma would cook us breakfast, and she would always make an Earl Grey. But if I stayed the night with her too, that was like the drink she would make me. What they call I think the correct term for it is a London fog, which is just milky tea. Okay. So my grandma would put milk in my Earl Grey with a little bit of sugar to make it for like a kid, a kid doesn't want to just drink straight black tea. But Earl Grey is one of the best, I feel like, black teas.
I think it'd be great if your username was Milky. What would you say?
Milky tea.
You said Milky
that's
tea.
Actually a really good. That's not a bad one. That's a pretty good username.
So the coach comes running in. He's got his clothes on just enough to get through the door, and he goes, "Bobby Hill, you just ate your last thingy, muffin, pastry, whatever. Move it." And that is the end of storyline B. That is how it ends. And
I liked it though.
It is so unfulfilling though.
It is. I wish there was more to it. I wish there was more like, I don't know, more to the plot of that. But I still think it's, I think they could do a whole episode of Bobby at a tea house.
Well, and this may be one of those things where we take the B storylines and just put all those together and make a thing out of them.
To follow all the B plots and see what kind of happens with that. Yeah,
so the old ladies are super shocked, but he drags him out of there. We're back over at Strickland now. Hank is dealing with a customer, and he goes, "Congratulations, Mr. Feibel. I'll be out there tomorrow to personally hook up your new tanks." And he hangs up the phone. You hear the Yellow Rose horn again. Then you hear a crash. You see a very drunk and disheveled Buck come in through the door, and he says, "Yeah, well, what are you all looking at, you heathens?" He tries to drink from the bottle, straight from the bottle right there. And Hank says, no, sir, not on the premises, and certainly not during business hours. It's fine then, Hank. Let's you and me go bet on the ponies. I'll just get some cash from the safe. He goes, "Oh, don't bother, sir. I changed the combination. But it's always been my birthday." "Well, now it's my birthday." "You've been here 20 years. I know your birthday. I know it. It's September 22, 29. He goes, 29, and he passes out, hangs up. Hank balls up his jacket, puts it under his head for a pillow, and he's out, right? He is out to the world. Later, Buck starts to wake up. He sees Hank, and Hank is over there wiping tanks. And he goes, "Hank, I'm sorry." He goes, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "Don't we have a boy who comes in and does this?" He goes, "Yeah, but the better these tanks are polished, the more sunlight they reflect, the cooler they stay, and the less propane escapes through that valve." That's exactly what he had told him in the flashback.
Yeah, in the flashback. It was
the first time he was exposed to it. He goes, "Yeah, that valve. Yeah, I taught you that." He goes, "Buck, maybe Luanne in her Bible class in the pool was his way of getting your attention so you could see what's really important." He goes, "Yeah, propane's been good to me." Artie says September. And he goes, "Well, Lady Propane's been good to all of us, sir." He goes, "Oh, Lady Propane." He sits down and he starts wiping a tank with Hank. And Hank says, "That's a perfect swirl, sir." He goes, "Maybe I could get rid of all my old addictions, get myself hooked up solely on propane. And maybe, I don't know, just one other thing, keep things spicy."
Yeah.
He says, "Boy, these 5,000-gallon heifers look pretty at sunset, don't they?" He goes, "Oh, they sure do. And those are 1,000-gallon and it's sunrise." And that's it. We can see credits roll.
Those are 1,000 gallons.
Those are 1,000 gallons, and it's sunrise. Couldn't be different. We see the credits, and then after credits, we get fellowship hug. Oh boy! So we get her giving a fellowship hug.
The fellowship hug.
And that is it for season 7, episode 17, The Good Buck.
That is it.
Originally from March 30th, 2003.
Yep.
So you want to tell us where they can find us anytime else?
They could still find us at BWAAA LeeringAKOTH on all social medias, and we like emails. As you've seen,
as
you'll see in our Friday episode, we had some guests. So if you want to be a guest on our show, email me at bwaakoth@gmail.com. That's for anybody. If you've got a podcast, you just want to be a guest on the show.
Yep.
I've got a few more that I've got to line up and stuff like that. Kathy Howley, heart,
Thanks for being
heart,
here,
and
Kathy.
peace. Thanks for being here. Yeah, so if anybody wants to be a guest, or if you want to say something, or you got an idea, thought, opinion, feeling surrounding King of the Hill or not King of the Hill.
Yeah, honestly, we'll take anything we can get from you. We love you guys. We thank you so much. Every week we get some new folks come in and out. Just tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your preacher, whatever.
Don't tell your dog.
Don't tell your dog. Dogs hate us. But we appreciate you guys slogging through this thing with us. Like we said, well, I haven't said it yet, but on this one, there is a thing in Austin being held called the ATX TV Festival. It's on May 30th. And I have zero pull in this thing, but I have applied for credentials for us to go cover this.
I hope we get them. If not, I'm gonna buy a ticket.
If we can do that, if not, we'll probably buy tickets and go and just see what we can do.
Hopefully they give us enough notice so we can buy tickets.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll check in again on it this week because this week starts May. So
yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. Check out that ATX TV Festival in Austin. I think you can watch some of that stuff online also.
Yeah, they'll have some stuff online. I imagine that the King of the Hill panel will probably eventually be online too.
I would think so. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be live, but I know they'll probably post a video of it, because anytime they have a panel like that, something gets shared.
Oh, sure. All right. Well, that is it for us this week. We will be back on Friday with some guests in tow. And until then, I think there's only one thing left to say.
Oui, Matanye.
Oui, Matanye, indeed. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.